Hello, happy National Coming Out Day. Today we're going to be talking about coming out, its process, the before, the during, the after of coming out, what it's like to come out. If you're queer and you're in the closet, I hope this video can be of some help to you. If you're already out, then please share your experience in the comments below and hopefully it will help someone who's not out yet. My coming out journey began in elementary school. Other people knew I was gay before I did. I was called gay all the time before I even really knew what that meant. Really, in elementary school, I just knew that it was a way to tease me for a perceived lack of masculinity. I wasn't really into sports or cars or anything that guys were into. Most of my friends were girls. I played with the occasional Barbie doll. I liked to stand with my hands on my hips. And so I used to be called gay when I was in elementary school, early elementary school, from some of the older kids especially. I would like to say this was not a fun experience. I desperately did not want to be called gay. I remember a long time later seeing one of those older kids who used to bully me for being gay on Grindr. So goes to show, I guess. Now I started to realize in myself that, hey, something might be up here. In like 5th grade. In 6th grade, I had my very first crush on a guy, and I remember thinking, oh, like this is wrong. I tried to convince myself to have crushes on girls, and hey, maybe I was just bisexual, and if I was bisexual, then that means that I could just ignore my interest in guys and continue to go out with girls. Around that time, 12 or 13, I started watching a bunch of coming out videos, taking those Am I Gay quizzes, things like that. You take those like Am I Gay quizzes, but you already know the answer for like what you're looking for. You can answer the questions in such a way that it tells you you're not gay or you're just bisexual. I would take these quizzes and like try to convince myself that I wasn't gay. Or I would read online forums and see other people trying to pray the gay away. And I definitely did that when I was like 13. I would pray to God and I'd say, please don't let me be gay. But of course, it never seemed to work. I still, at the end of the day, liked men. That process of being bullied for being gay and you don't even know that you're gay, and then you start to realize, fuck, I might be gay. And you're like the thing that people were bullying you about is not fun and really hard to go through. In 7th grade, I tried coming out to my mom. One day she had come home from work and I called her to my room and I said, Mom, I'm gay. She was shocked, but she accepted me. But once I told her, I felt horrible. When people talk about coming out, they always say like, oh, it sucks when you're in the closet, it's so hard, and then you come out and it's like sunshine and rainbows and beautiful and you are able to be free. But it is not like that the second you come out. That moment you come out fucking sucks. It feels like a pit at the bottom of your stomach that like you just want to vomit. It's horrible. At 13 or 14, I was not expecting that. I was expecting it to be a great experience. And even though my mom told me she loved me, it was not a good experience. I felt like I'd made a mistake. Later that night, I called my mom back to my room and I said, hey mom, I think the kids at school might just be telling me that I'm gay, but I'm not actually gay. They're just saying these things about me because of how I present, and I like girls. I'm not gay. I told her that I thought it was just the teasing. Then I was back in the closet, which was a horrible decision. By the way, in case you were curious, if this ever happens to you and you come out before you're ready, try not to go back into the closet if possible, if safe. So that was in 7th grade. I spent a few months after that time trying to convince myself once again, oh, you're straight, or oh, you're bisexual and you like girls. And then eventually I just sort of accepted that I'm gay. I think by the time 8th grade rolled around, I had accepted it within myself, but I did not come out until the summer after 10th grade. So it was another like 3 years from that first time trying to come out to when I actually came out. During that time, I repeatedly tried and failed to come out. I remember sitting in the living room with my parents and they would be watching TV and I would just be sitting there like, just say, hey mom and dad, I'm gay, and feeling so stressed about it. They had no idea what I was thinking, but I was so stressed. I started not to tell my parents really about anything that was happening in my life. I just, like any teen does, stick to the basics. How was your day? It was okay, etc. Like not tell them anything about who I was. And that got tough because it just felt very isolating. When I was very young, maybe back at 13 years old, I found Troye Sivan, who back at this time was just a YouTuber, and he became a really big inspiration for me. In one of his videos, I remember him talking about coming out, and he had come out at 15 years old. And I remember being 13 and watching that and thinking to myself, I'll come out when I'm 15. Like when I'm 15, I will be so much more comfortable with myself and feel like I know for sure that I'm gay. By 15, I'll know for sure and feel like I can handle this and talk about this. And then I remember on my 15th birthday thinking to myself, I am not equipped to talk about this or to come out. I felt so unprepared to do that and so stressed. And I remember on my 16th birthday thinking I failed. I had this plan for 2 years to come out at 15 and I couldn't do it. And now I'm 16 and I'm in the same spot I was for the last 3 years or more and no closer to being able to come out. When I was 15, I had written a letter to my mom and dad, coming out letter I intended to give them. And I never did give them this letter, which I feel grateful for because at that time I was pretty sad about it and the letter was pretty depressing. I have some quotes from this letter that I will read to you. So in talking to my mom, I referenced the first time I came out at 7th grade and I said, "Here we are, Mom, almost 3 years later, going through the exact same thing. I wasn't lying to you 3 years ago. I just wasn't ready to accept myself. I'm still not, but I don't think I'll ever really be ready." I remember that day very clearly. I remember the gut-wrenching feeling I got once I told you and how I immediately regretted it. But now, 3 years later, I regret not sticking to my guns because now I have to do this all over again. I still ask myself questions. Will I ever get married? Will I lose a part of my family? Will I ever be able to have kids? I told you I didn't want children, but the truth is I do. At the time, I thought I'd never be able to achieve a family, but as I've grown, I long for it more and more. Maybe everything gets easier with time. Maybe I'll be able to talk about crushes, point out when there's someone cute, or bring someone home. It's those small things I want. I wasn't in a good place, and I never gave them those letters. A year later, 8 months after I turned 16, I still wasn't ready to come out, but I felt a lot more comfortable in myself and who I was and accepting that I'm gay. It was June when I was 16, and it was the first year that I felt like proud during Pride Month. Felt that I was a part of this community, and even though nobody knew it, I was proud of who I was. So I sat down and I wrote another coming out letter. I only wrote one this time addressed to my mom. I had meant to write letters for other family members and friends as well, but never did. Put it in a drawer. I folded it up. I wrote "For Mom" on it, intending to give it to her sometime during that month, but never did, of course, because I was scared. And then a month later in July, I went to a local college for some sort of summer camp. The day before my parents picked me up, my mom called me and she said that she had found my letter. "Dear Mom, I'm gay. I've been wanting to share this with you for a while now. My first letter was kind of depressing, but now I'm more excited to share this with you. Here's what I'm excited for. I'm excited that I get to share something so personal with you. I'm excited to date and to love someone romantically for the first time. I'm excited to not constantly worry about how feminine I may act. And I'm excited for what the future holds." Both my mom and dad were on the call. They immediately told me that they loved and they supported me. They didn't really understand, nor did they see it coming, but they loved me. One interesting tidbit about that call is I remember before answering, it was like dinner time. It was like 6 o'clock and I was feeling hungry, ready to order some dinner. My last night at this camp, we called, we talked, we said we would talk more about it on the way home tomorrow. I hung up and my heart was racing and I wanted to throw up once again, that pit in your stomach. And I was not hungry after that call. I don't think I ate that night. But the second round, I had experienced that same pit in my stomach in 7th grade, and so I knew it was coming. And so when my parents said, "Hey, we found your letter. Is this true?" I could say yes and kind of stick to my guns and know that this is really gonna suck, but I just need to push through it. That same night after the call, one of the friends I had made in this little college camp came up to me after and said, "Hey Keith, I have kind of an awkward question for you," which when you're 16 and everyone thinks you're gay, you know what is coming. That you get asked so many times. She asked me, "Are you gay?" And I said, "No, I'm not gay. I love women." And that's the thing. I had just come out to my parents and I never wanted to come out to people before my parents. I always wanted them to know first because I didn't want to feel like I had to live separate home and like public lives. I just wanted to not worry about like them finding out later or them feeling like I lied to them in some way. And so even though I had just come out to my parents and in some sense I felt free of that, I still couldn't in that moment tell some rando that like I was gay. And ultimately, I wouldn't tell anyone else I was gay for 4 months after. The car ride home the next day was awkward, but helpful. And we could talk through those questions that, of course, come up with your parents and have a productive conversation. My parents did not know how to have a gay kid. They had not prepared for this. They did not know it was coming. And sometimes they messed up. They didn't have the education to know what to say or what not to say. But what they didn't mess up on was that they immediately affirmed that they loved me and they would love me regardless. And they were worried about my safety at times, but they loved me. And you talk through those awkward first couple months and you start to slowly open up, and it got better over time. And now they're like my biggest supporters. After coming out to my parents, I didn't come out to anyone else until November of that year. I came out to some of my closest friends over voicemail.
Hey Carol, it's me. I just want to take this little opportunity to talk to you for half a second. I'm gay, and I've wanted you to know since like summer.
And then I came out publicly the following June, 11 months after I came out that last July. To the day. But coming out happens again and again and again and always, like, it's over and over. It's never ending. You're always having to come out. Right now, I am still in the process of figuring out how I want to be out at work, to what extent I want to be out. Sometimes you feel safe to do so, and other times you think, maybe not. You have to kind of make those decisions on a day-to-day. When I was coming out publicly, I must have been 17, yeah. My parents were really concerned about my safety. And one thing they used to say to me was, why don't, when someone asks you if you're gay, you decide in that moment whether or not you feel safe to come out to them. And if you do, tell them you're gay. If you don't, then say you're not gay. For me though, I felt like it was important I come out to everyone. And the reason is, when you're first coming out, it's really fucking hard. It could be the safest person coming up to you and saying, hey, are you gay? And when you have to make that split-second decision of, if I tell this person yes, what are the ramifications of this? Can I trust them with this? Are they obliged to keep this like a secret or not? The equation would never work out to telling them, yes, I'm gay, even if they were safe. I could be myself around my closest friends and my family, but I was still leading this public life at school and at work that was tricky, like not who I was. It was a little more complicated at the time because in Virginia, you could be fired for being gay at work. So that was tricky, but I still felt it was important to me to just be out and not have to worry anymore. And so I came out publicly on Instagram because, hey, it was 2019. You did that back in 2019, and I'm happy I did. I'm happy I came out publicly. It allowed me to have a senior year where I felt like I could be myself fully, not have to hide. By the time I came out publicly in high school, most people were focused on passing their APs or trying to apply to college and didn't have a ton of time to bully me about being gay. And I think also Virginia was changing as a place. It became a lot more accepting and more progressive, even if like not fully. And so my coming out was very hard on me personally to try and figure out, but ultimately very positive. And I am so privileged to say that I didn't lose a single person in my life coming out. There were some people where I thought I might lose them, whether they are very religious or conservative, but not a single person rejected me for that. It's been 6 years since I came out. After graduating high school, I went to a college in a super progressive area with a lot of queer folks, met a lot of people who were like me for the first time. After graduating college, I moved to Seattle, which is also very progressive and very queer. I now have an incredible boyfriend, and my parents are very excited about him, as am I. Over the last 6 years, I've become friends with so many queer folks, and yeah, I met a lot of people like me. I remember being young and feeling alone in my queerness. I remember not knowing any other gay people. I remember how scary that felt, and I remember how scary it was for me personally to know that I was gay, and then eventually less and less until now, where I feel proud of who I am and very rarely have to feel in danger at all. If you're queer, I want to wish you once again very happy National Coming Out Day. If you're in the closet, I just want to let you know that I'm rooting for you, and I hope one day you'll feel safe enough to be able to come out. I came out at 16. I know other people who came out at 13. I know some people who came out at 21. I just want to say we're all on our different timescales, and there is no being behind when it comes to coming out. There's no pressure. Whenever you feel safe is when you should come out, and whenever you do, just know that there will be people there to support you and who will love you for who you are. Okay, that's what I want to say. Thank you for watching. I hope this helped. Yeah, love you lots. Be safe.